Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, if you're really paying attention to what's happening around the NFL, especially in the NFC North, you know that the Detroit Lions are not just sitting still. No, sir. They're in what's called a win-now mode, meaning they're loaded with talent, hungry for success, and willing to pull out all the stops to finally get over that playoff hump and make a real run at a Super Bowl. And honestly, this recent news about a potential blockbuster trade involving one of the league's most dominant defensive players could be the game changer that Lions fans have been waiting for. Let me paint the picture for you, because it's pretty intriguing. The Detroit Lions have been quietly but persistently looking to upgrade their defense. We all know that defense wins championships, and if you've been paying close attention, you realize that Detroit's defense, while talented, has been a bit inconsistent, especially when it comes to rushing the passer. Last season, finishing 24th in sacks with only 37 is not the kind of stat that championship teams boast. Sure, they have some promising players like Aiden Hutchinson, who was the No. 2 overall pick just a year ago and showed flashes of brilliance. But Hutchinson missed the last 13 games due to a broken leg, which really hurt Detroit's pass rush and overall defensive presence. Now, here's the interesting part. The Lions have been trying to bolster their front seven, looking for that game-changing pass rusher to pair with Hutchinson, especially since Zadarius Smith, who they acquired during the 2024 trade deadline, hasn't quite lived up to expectations. And with Zadarius still on the free agent market after an underwhelming stint, Detroit's front office is actively exploring options. And among those options, one name keeps coming up: T.J. Watt from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, T.J. Watt. The 4-time All-Pro, the 2021 NFL Defensive Player of the Year, a player who has consistently been among the league's elite pass rushers. Now, this isn't just speculation. ESPN reported that teams are considering offers to acquire Watt, who is set to enter the final year of his contract. The Steelers, as you know, are in a bit of a tricky spot. They're not actively shopping Watt, but reports suggest they might be willing to listen if the right offer comes along, especially since Watt is seeking a new contract that would push him into the highest-paid defensive players in NFL history. This is where things get really interesting for Detroit fans. The Lions have some cap space, over $40 million in 2025 alone, which is substantial. They could, theoretically, make a competitive offer to Pittsburgh that would satisfy Watt's financial demands, especially since they're looking to be serious contenders now. The key question here is, would the Lions be willing to part with some draft capital? That's always the concern when talking about acquiring a star like Watt. Detroit doesn't currently hold a 3rd or 6th round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, so trading away future picks could weaken their long-term planning. But on the flip side, winning now might justify that trade-off. Let's also not forget the context of the Steelers' current roster build. Pittsburgh has been very active in the offseason, making some high-profile moves. They've acquired DK Metcalf from the Seahawks and Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins, signaling that they are all in for 2025. The Steelers are craving a return to the glory days, especially after their last Super Bowl win in Super Bowl XLII over the Arizona Cardinals. And with the recent announcement that Aaron Rodgers might be playing his final NFL season, the AFC and NFC landscapes are shifting rapidly, heightening the stakes for teams like Detroit that are vying for supremacy. Now, you might be wondering about the downside. Watt, at 31 years old, is no longer in his rookie season. He's coming off a somewhat down year statistically, 5 sacks, which is still impressive but far below his peak performance, and his lowest since his rookie year. Plus, he's going to be demanding a new contract that could push his annual salary well above the $40 million mark that Myles Garrett currently commands. That's a hefty price tag, and it raises questions about whether Detroit, or any team, would be willing to pay that for a player approaching his 31st birthday. But here's the thing, Watt's impact on the field is undeniable. He's a game wrecker, capable of changing the course of games with his pass-rushing ability. Pairing him with Hutchinson, who's shown he can be a dominant force when healthy, could give Detroit one of the most fearsome pass-rushing duos in the league. That could be the missing piece to their defense, transforming their entire unit from mediocre to elite. Imagine a defense that consistently pressures quarterbacks, forces turnovers, and keeps opponents in third-and-long situations. That's the kind of transformation that can push a team deep into the playoffs and ultimately bring home the Super Bowl trophy. Of course, nothing's guaranteed. The negotiations would be complex, involving not just the draft picks and financial considerations, but also the Steelers' desire to maximize their return on Watt. They might hold out for a premium, especially since Watt is arguably their best player and a cornerstone of their defense. And Detroit has to weigh the risks, trading future assets for immediate impact, especially when they already have some injuries to deal with. Hutchinson's recovery is a big factor, and losing draft capital might be a concern if they want to build for the future. But the Lions' front office has shown a willingness to be aggressive. They've been trying to upgrade their roster since last season, making strategic moves and looking for that extra spark. Now, adding Watt could be just that. The fans, of course, would love to see their team go all in, especially considering how close they came last season. Their offense, led by Jared Goff, is already quite potent, but the defense, particularly the pass rush, needs that extra boost to truly compete with the division rivals like the Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers, and the Chicago Bears, who are all building up their rosters too. And let's not forget the historical context. The Detroit Lions have been waiting a long time for a true championship window. They've had their share of painful seasons, but recent years have seen a steady rise. The drafting of Hutchinson and the signing of key free agents have shown that the Lions are serious about contention. Now, with a potential move for Watt, they might be taking their biggest step yet toward becoming a true NFC powerhouse. In the broader picture, this kind of move would send shockwaves through the league. It would signal that Detroit isn't just content to be a playoff team, they're aiming for the top, for a Super Bowl title. It would also put other teams on notice, showing that the Lions are willing to make bold moves, shake up the status quo, and invest heavily in their championship dreams. This is exactly the kind of story that keeps NFL fans talking, speculating, and dreaming about that elusive Super Bowl victory. So, what do you think, Lions fans? Would you support a trade for TJ Watt if it meant sacrificing some future picks? Do you believe that bringing in a player of his caliber could be the final piece to the puzzle? Or are you more cautious, thinking about the long-term implications and the cap space needed for future seasons? Whatever your thoughts, one thing is for sure, the Detroit Lions are not just sitting back. They're looking to make a statement, and this potential move could be the boldest step yet. And remember, the NFL offseason is always full of surprises. Trades, signings, draft picks, everything moves so fast, and as Lions fans, we're right in the thick of it. It's an exciting time to be a part of this community, to see your team aiming high, and to imagine what's possible in the seasons ahead. The Lions have assembled a talented roster, and if they pull off this kind of acquisition, they could be on the cusp of something truly special. So keep your eyes peeled, stay tuned for more updates because the story is far from over, and Detroit Lions fans, you're at the heart of it all. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. Now wrapping things up, I want to emphasize that this potential move is not just about adding a star player, it's about signaling the Lions' serious intent. They're not just content to be playoff contenders, they want to be champions. Acquiring a player like TJ Watt could be the difference maker, giving Detroit that extra push, that extra edge to finally reach that promised land. Imagine the roar of the Ford Field crowd if Watt dons the Honolulu blue and silver. What a sight that would be. It would energize the fan base, boost team morale, and make the Lions a team nobody wants to face in the playoffs. But as always, it's a complex puzzle. The Lions need to weigh the costs, the risks, and the rewards. They have the talent, they have the coaching, and now they might have the financial flexibility to make a bold move. Whether this trade materializes or not, one thing is clear. Detroit is on the rise and the league is watching. The NFC North is about to get even more competitive, and Lions fans, you should be excited. The future looks bright, and if the team pulls off this kind of blockbuster, it could be the start of a new era, one where Detroit is no longer just a good team, but a true Super Bowl contender. So keep believing, keep supporting, and stay tuned because the best is yet to come. The Detroit Lions are not just playing for this season, they're playing for history, for legacy, and for that ultimate goal, bringing home another Super Bowl trophy. And with moves like this possibly on the horizon, they're showing the league that they're here to compete, to dominate, and to write their own success story. Thanks for being with me today, Lions fans. Remember, your voice matters. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me if you think this move will happen and what it could mean for the team. I'll be back very soon with more updates, analysis, and all the latest from the Detroit Lions. Stay passionate, stay loyal, and as always, go Lions.